We are live on the beautiful beaches in Dubai, and it's time for some championships. We'll have 2 finals for you over the next couple of hours. We'll have 5 more championship games for you tomorrow. Dubai Sports and SkyMagazine.com proudly present the 2015 Beach Ultimate Championships. It's great to have you with us for this Women Masters final between the USA and Canada. Alongside Megan Tormey, I'm Evan Lepler, and Megan, the first of many USA-Canada matchups we can suspect. The Women's Masters division, USA beat Canada 9-4 in its closest game. So what level of belief do you have that Canada can make this a close one? Perhaps the elements will be a factor.
Well, Kate Kingery of the United States recognized that their win over Canada was probably not as decisive as the score might imply. They think that Canada was having a bit of an off game, so they're not taking their early victory as a clear marker of how this game is going to go today. Similarly, Canada recognized that they were not at peak performance when they were playing them last. They wanted to get this game again, and it looks like they'll have that opportunity.
Team USA Masters team led by Kate Kingery, a legendary Dominique Fontenette, who won one of the first Callahan Awards. Lots of talent. What stands out to you about the roster that this Women's Masters team has put together?
Well, first of all, it's a very deep roster. I look on this field and I see a number of women I have had the opportunity to play against, or should I say the misfortune to play against, given their skills as both receivers and handlers. So I think that depth is really going to play in their favor. There's no one on the team that will get the disc, and then the rest of the team will be worried about their decisions. Sound technique, sound decision making. It is a very deep and capable roster.
Canadian team talked about all the drops in the first meeting against USA, so hopeful they can beat them here in the finals when it really counts, just like they beat them at Club Worlds in the past. And the Canadian team has lots of talent. There's incredible spirit building in this venue as we get set for the first of 7 championship games, and what a day it has been already, with 2 semifinals that we've had the fortune and privilege to televise, both going down to the wire in the mixed division. USA suffered its first loss as a delegation as the Canadian teams knocked off the mixed USA team in this wind on Universe Point, and then the open semifinal between USA and the Philippines. The Boracay Dragons, one of the legendary beach teams from the Philippines, and that game went down to the wire as well. A long, drawn-out Universe Point before Team USA finally prevailed. And, you know, it's only going to get better, Megan. We got championship ultimate coming our way.
Absolutely. You thought the semifinals were exciting. The finals are sure to be just as exciting. Talking a little bit more about that last game we watched, USA versus the Philippines in the open division. It by far was the longest game. I think it took an hour and 10 minutes, maybe an hour and 15 minutes for that game to wrap up. Certainly nothing more nail-biting than that game so far.
Looks like Becky Ladone getting ready to pull. USA will be in the blue, Canada in the white. The Women's Masters Championship game is about to begin as we get into the real nitty-gritty of our week in Dubai. The 4th Beach World Championships, first ever international event being held in the Middle East in the Ultimate World. So Team USA came in as the #1 seed. Team Canada came in as the #2 seed. They have lived up to the billing. And here we go. There were 7 Women's Masters teams that entered this week. Germany, Great Britain, Finland, the Philippines, and Courier Island are all watching now. A quick turnover gives the USA a chance for an early break. And they capitalize immediately. How easy was that? Angela Lynn hitting Becky Ladone, who pulled it and scored it, and USA up 1-0.
Certainly a very capable pair right there. Lynn, one of the lead handlers for Ozone. Ozone in general known as a very handler-heavy, offensively capable team. Lynn, of course, leading the charge in that regard. And then Becky Ladone, one of the best receivers I've ever played with. Lynn made her job easy, but the disc could have been much more difficult to catch, and Becky still would have come down with it.
So 1-0 advantage for the U.S. This Canadian team led by Kirsten Niles and Melissa Lundgren. Lundgren, the longtime captain of the Capitals, played on the Canadian Beach World Teams 2011 in Italy. You know, like many other of these top teams, not a whole lot of time to prepare heading into the week. The Canadians are one of many that had their first real practices as a team here on the beaches in Dubai on Saturday and Sunday before the opening ceremonies and the commencement of the competition.
When you get into the Masters divisions, there are two things about a lack of practice that bother them less. First of all, both on the U.S. team as well as on the Capitals team, there is some crossover, even though everyone's coming from very different club teams. A lot of these players have seen or played with one another in some capacity. The other thing is, the more experience you get as an ultimate player, the more experience you get being on a team you haven't had the ability to practice with, and you kind of get used to gelling as a pickup team.
Finding chemistry quickly, so key if you want to be a champion here at Beach Worlds. USA turns it over. Puck attempt. Melissa Lundgren spins it deep and just out of the reach of the intended target, Alexa Laverne. Tina Woodings picks up the disc and throws it into the sand. Woodings, a name you might remember from her time at University of Texas, 03 to 06. She's played for the elite women's team Showdown since then. Disc in the hands of Kate Jardine. Alexa Laverne's toss falls incomplete, but a call appears to be made. Game to 13. Games fly by. 45-minute soft cap, even when the wind is reckoning. It has howled for the past 3-4 hours ferociously here on the beaches in Dubai, and I take away the call, so USA initiates play with Kate Kingery, one of the captains, still an active member of the reigning world champion Seattle Riot team that took home the gold in Lecco this past August.
This wind is nothing new for players as experienced as the women on the field right now, but it is still such a force to be reckoned with. It can take a while, if it happens at all, to become accustomed to it.
And this really does become, Megan, something of a battle of attrition, not getting frustrated, knowing that mistakes will be made. Jardine into the sand. Heather Ann Brower broke away immediately. She's making the cut in the end zone, but no angle for the throw. Kingery just out of the reach of the laying out teammate. USA unable to punch it in and gain the 2-0 lead so far. Coming up in less than an hour, we'll have the mixed Masters finals, also USA versus Canada. Very intriguing matchups in that game, and Masters qualifications for females got to be at least 30, turning 30 in the year of competition. So there are a couple 29 years. And what a catch. You got to be kidding me.
Played off her thighs, a winner with a winning catch.
Watch this. Just as she planned it. Like a soccer juggle.
Quite athletic. You know, I said earlier, Evan, and I do believe it's true, and I certainly don't mean to take away from the caliber of all the teams we've seen so far, but in wins like this, a lot comes down to luck. And if you can get lucky enough for the wind to not take the disc away, or at least keep it within your vicinity, you have to be 100% prepared, because the disc is going to do unpredictable things like bounce up or bounce off your legs. You've got to be ready for it.
We're still waiting for this wind to die down. It's hard to believe it could intensify and get much stronger. Ladone unleashes the pull, and it's a beauty. That stays in bounds the entire time. That pull was perfection. See if USA can capitalize. So far, good flow from Canada. Melanie Rigglesworth right into the ground. That's just a mistake that Canada cannot afford if they have visions of gold. Three players laying out. Nobody came up with a disc, and you hope all three rise up. Anisha Dariani, number 77, still an active member of Fury. The Bay Area, just out of her reach, and a couple other teammates nearby as well. So in the previous games in this very harsh wind, we've seen a Huckfest break out. Here's a first real deep shot, but it was like the wind just spiked that disc to the ground out of bounds. Challenges of playing in the sand, Megan, obviously present a unique and new conquest for these players to conquer. That throw bending back into the field of play, but not enough to be caught. Canada will restart play. Again, USA's closest game of the week was a 9-4 win over Canada yesterday. Dariani, the lefty, able to connect with Kelly Bolts. Contact in the end zone. Jen Nichols helping up June C. Sentinel. Ladone over to C. Sentinel. Over the head of Dariani, but in the right place at the right time, almost coming up with a catch. Kelly Bolts. We're basically broadcasting, and the players are competing through a sandstorm here in Dubai. You can see the swirling cloud of dust being brushed up from the surface, from our backs and even out in front of us. You know, it's beautiful from a temperature standpoint. The spectacle of the ocean glistening in the distance, gorgeous, but in the moment, not the most comfortable conditions to broadcast or play in for sure.
That's right, and you notice a couple of players on Team USA are wearing sunglasses, not because of the glare of the sun, but more likely because the sand and dust being kicked up and into the eyes.
Yeah, no question about it. Bolt on the mark. Up line, and a deep shot taken by Rigglesworth. And it falls underneath that Red Bull truck over there.
Kingery talked about one of the keys to this game was going to be to move the disc quickly, take that first open shot. 2 possessions ago, I feel like Team USA was doing an excellent job of attaining that goal. They weren't even hesitating twice. When one person was cutting in, the disc went to them. They moved very close to the end zone. That's the closest they've been. I think that'll be the big difference maker for these guys.
With a spectacular skyline in the background of this beach landscape. USA takes a deep shot, turns it over. It'll be Betsy Chan, youngest member of this Canadian Masters team. The ages span from 29 to 51. For a second, it looked like someone might have a play on that disc, but it's well out of play. A member of the USA mixing. That's Kimberly Beach over there. Warming up for the Mixed Masters game, which will be following this one here in the stadium.
You can always count on Kim Beach to make a play, whether or not she's involved in the game.
Tough angle on that blading forehand. As we saw earlier, both teams very reluctant to take the short throws because they're so challenging in these conditions, and a turnover on the doorstep of your own end zone is precarious. Niles trying to thread the needle, but incomplete, intended for Rigglesworth. Melanie Rigglesworth currently residing in Istanbul. This Canadian Masters team mixed up of a lot of Vancouver players, many who have spent time on the women's team Traffic. Also 5 gals from Toronto, members of Capitals and Union. A few from Montreal playing for the club team Vintage, and also a couple from the East, New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, all coming together on this women's Masters team for Canada. A pretty deep shot, but it won't hang long enough. Megan, in a game like this, are you even able to decipher specific strategies, or is it basically just huck and hope?
That's a great question, Evan. Honestly, I think huck and hope is, you can't go wrong with huck and hope. It certainly lends to very long, exhausting points, but as you mentioned earlier, when you consider risk reward, the risk you take making those short passes close to the opposing team's end zone, certainly not worth it, because once a team gets just 10 yards out of their own end zone, it's nearly a surefire score. Even if the percentage is only 60-40, say, that still could be the difference of you winning and losing the game.
Ultimate Frisbee was not created to be played in wins like this. A great layout there from Rigglesworth. Hanging in the air and plucked by Ladone for the interception. And her toss just bounces over the head of Manisha Dariani, affectionately known as Slap to most of her American teammates, which always makes me a little uncomfortable when I get near her.
How did you earn that nickname?
I don't want to get close enough to find out.
Right.
Good angle on that deep shot to curve it around the defense and keep it in play, but not enough angle to have the float necessary to be caught. Juggling it and calling it in, Betsy Chan. And that falls off the hands of Emily Noten. So USA trying to punch it in, the longest point of this game by a long shot. Bolts underneath, tough catch from Ladone, looking for another assist, and right through the grasp of Crystal Davis. An agonizing drop there for the Americans.
Absolutely. Evan, I liked what you said in the last game where you described this wind as rendering some of these top players like beginners. And it's hard to see some of the from USA and from Canada top players having a really difficult time with catches like that.
Niles connecting with Note. Low throw, incredible snag by Chan. He's had a number of layouts on this point alone. Sometimes you do everything right, that low release, you use the backhand instead of a flick, you have a lane, and the wind and the conditions and the disc, and that Ultra Star still won't cooperate.
Yep. Like I said, so much of it boils down to luck. Is there going to be a gust as the disc nears your intended receiver or not?
Dariani picks up. Putting it to space, that'll angle back into the field of play, but not enough. Out of the reach of Davis. Players in the sideline during these long points, you know, they're getting well rested, but it's got to be just agonizing to feel so helpless, watch your teammates struggle as such. That catch hauled in, but play will be stopped. I think a pick might have been called. Finally, 5 meters from the end zone. Fans just wanted to see a new line out there, I think.
Or just wanted to see some discs caught.
We'll see USA, Canada in the Mixed Masters championship game later today. The two finals we did, the Canadian mixed team upset the US team, so we'll see Canada and Germany in the mixed final. And the open final, if you hadn't yet heard, USA and Great Britain. Those will be tomorrow. Chan has often been the pivot handler for the Canadians on this point. Wrigglesworth looking to the end zone, and no one can get there. Megan, if I asked you what's the longest point you've ever played, does anything immediately come to mind?
Yeah, there was a point at Chicago Heavyweight Championship. I think it went on for 20 plus minutes. Wind was not a factor. I'll just go ahead and put that out there right now. It was not particularly
unbelievably
windy.
stingy defense, it sounds like.
Or
perhaps a couple of mistakes from the offense.
It was
a mixed bag.
A mixed bag. Nemesis went out on defense, and the defensive prowess kept getting the disc back, but then didn't keep our wits about us on offense enough to
that was against
convert.
Who?
Oh, that I don't remember.
Laying out pretty bid, despite its lack of success. The wind continues to howl as we play our first championship game of the week in Dubai. Davis able to chase that one down and hanging on for that catch. Bolt gets it to Ladone. Looking for the easiest throw possible. Dariani, the clap catch. USA leads it 3-0.
And to think with all the struggles we've seen from both teams so far, a throw that easy and that pretty would be what finally brought about the end.
Thank goodness she used two hands.
Right.
So USA up 3-0 in this Women's Masters Championship game. Fresh lines heading out there for both teams. see Erica Swanson and Tracy Wu, one-time Boston player with Godiva. Angela Lynn getting ready to pull. Rachel Holes. About 6 minutes per point so far, Megan. So you watch the U.S. and Canada in the women's masters division.
And we watched in the open division semifinals how the tides can turn even in this win when you have this much time left and only a 2-point difference. You know, there was a point in the game where I was sure the United States was going to win it, but then the Philippines battled so effectively they brought it back to double game point, and at that point it's any person's game.
Betsy Chan will launch the pull.
Be interesting to see how USA chooses to answer back after that Canadian score. Both Dom and Kingery on the field before the game. They were discussing what was most important to practice in this win: short throws to remind themselves they have them, or the long throws to be able to get them in and make them more effective in the wind.
One throw turnover for the USA. Quickly restarted by Canada. Rigglesworth looking to the end zone, but too far ahead of Emily Sangster. Right on the edge of the Porto field. USA will bring this disc to the front of the end zone for the restart. Great crowd has congregated here on this main stadium field. Many in the stands, but even more beyond the end zone that USA is pursuing here. Off to our left, sort of a party scene brewing down there with grills and cocktails on the edge of the nearby hotel. And USA in pursuit of that end zone. Fontenette called a foul. And it doesn't look like Melanie Rigglesworth contested. What's it been like in your career playing against Dominique Fontenette?
Well, when I say not fun, I mean it very, very fondly.
In a respectful way.
Right. Absolutely.
Not like she smells or anything.
No. She really is one of those unstoppable forces. One of the first names in Ultimate I learned as I was first coming onto the club scene. Just really a formidable force. Fury, a line of really unstoppable women. I found her to be one of the more unstoppable players. Really never sure what she was going to do next. She's played for so long, has such a high ultimate intelligence. It's really hard to take things away with just physicality. She's a very, very smart player, so it's hard to know what she's going to do next and what you as a defender can try and prevent her from doing.
You can see there the immense focus from Crystal Davis, I beg your pardon, Brittany Winter, in making that catch as the United States goes up 4-1. Again, it's Lodone, just uncorks with all her might. A gorgeous pull into the front of the end zone. Keeping that in the field of play, and oh, nice catch on the second effort there from Chandler. Looks like an injury. Kate Jardine stumbling on that grab. Any camera shot we have with the water in the background is just spectacular. You can forget, Megan, if you're too focused on the ultimate. Just take a breath and look around you at the landscape we are fortunate to be viewing.
Yeah, even though the ultimate can be agonizing to watch at some points, to use your word, Evan, the setting's certainly not at all like that.
An honor for Megan, Brian, and I to be here in Dubai for this 4th ever Beach World Championships. Hammer over the top. Just not enough float. Jardine in pursuit. Coming back to the disc, Ladone hauls in the huck from Sentinel to the end zone. D'd up by Canada. Alexa Laverne used that long reach to knock it away with Bolt in pursuit.
Now Laverne got good position on that quickly. I think Bolt was waiting patiently to see exactly what the wind had planned for that disc. A crucial moment too late.
That disc just pops high up in the air, coming down, incomplete. All the dust continuing to swirl.
I can't believe it's still here.
This is June C. Sentinel, the Bay Area, launching another one to the end zone. It's got the right angle. Will it stay in bounds? Oh, so close to being a sensational score. Just out of the reach of Crystal Davis. You gotta love the hustle, getting the face full of sand. You say it's easier to lay out on sand because it doesn't hurt necessarily like grass or turf, except when your face lands in that sand. I don't think I've been more impressed than when we've seen great defensive layout bids. They don't come up with a D, and in a millisecond they're up, putting a mark on just with sand completely shielding their face. Remember a moment earlier today during the quarterfinal game, Teddy Brower-Jarris and the U.S. men. He had a great layout bid. His opponent made a sensational catch as well, and he popped up in a fraction of a second. Here's Dariani. Beautiful put, but just too far ahead of the intended target, which appeared to be Kelly Bolt, amongst others.
Yeah, you got to wonder when they pop up with that face full of sand if they're even able to see their marker, if they're going about it blindly.
Nice use of the backhand there by Lundgren. And now back to the captain, Melissa Lundgren. She's got great size, great finesse with the disc. Long pin, one of the top women's players in Canada. Tremendous grab by Laverne. And then just as great as the grab was, the carelessness of the giveaway makes you gasp. USA have a chance here. Ladone trying to size it up, but you know, it's got to be just such a new experience for these players who have read discs for decades. Trying to gauge exactly how that 175-gram piece of plastic is going to react in these conditions.
Yeah, it's hard to know and very much hard to adjust your positioning. You notice a lot of the missed connections deep are not at all due to reading the disc poorly, but not knowing what the gusts are going to do.
To the end zone, what a grab. And that'll give USA the point. Crystal Davis with great extension. Not the easiest of choices there, so close to the goal line, but Megan Davis.
Beautiful.
Able to get that left hand underneath. The two-handed frontward layout for the score.
Yeah, Davis is one of the most talented receivers on the DC Standout Club team, Scandal.
Big part of their two-time national championships the past couple of years.
Absolutely. It's nice to see her able to haul one in after a couple of unsuccessful attempts.
5-1 now with the USA at the advantage. Just beyond this field, you have the mixed masters teams for these two countries getting ready. Kate Kingery on the line here, native of Denver, Colorado, a captain of this team, longtime member of Seattle Riot. Asked her when she's not playing Ultimate, what do you do, Kate? I coach Ultimate, I teach Pilates, and I choreograph musicals.
The standard trifecta.
Obviously. Getting ready to choreograph a musical adaptation of the Reese Witherspoon classic, Legally Blonde. It is amazing how in some Ultimate communities like Seattle, some others in the Pacific Northwest, and occasionally in the Triangle of North Carolina, some Ultimate lovers have been able to craft a living from coaching youth Ultimate. I remember someone told me once, in Seattle, you could make more money coaching youth Ultimate in a year than you could make coaching, you know, a top club team or a pro team in a decade. And that just speaks to the level of infrastructure and commitment that those communities have made, and consequently you see some of the best players in the world coming out of those places.
Absolutely, and Evan, I think you are not alone in recognizing that exposure is such an important piece of Ultimate right now, especially at this juncture in the sport's existence. And how vital it is to get top players, players who have seen this sport start to explode and blossom, and recognizing how important it is to have smart minds rethink how offensive and defensive strategies can be run. And for that reason, it's great that minds like Kingery.
Right through the grasp there of Brittany Winter.
It's great that minds like Kingery are able to participate in that.
About 9 minutes away from the soft cap going on. It's hard to imagine the Canadian team mounting the necessary type of comeback, especially in these conditions.
Exactly right. Unless the wind dies down, I'm not sure there's a strategy they can employ that will help them at this point.
Moles couldn't make the catch after the juggle. Beg your pardon, that was Angela Lynn, and Canada just gives it right back. Fontenette to the end zone. Score for Team USA. Fontenette connecting with Tracy Wu.
Wu surprised quite a bit by that throw there, but as we were discussing earlier, how ready, omni-ready you need to be in these conditions. Without disc is going to do something different even in the last fraction of a second of your catch.
So USA leads Canada 6-1 now. Pursuit of this women's Masters gold medal. The first of the 7 championship games. USA trying to set a tone. Canadian fans not giving up hope. Impressive flick pull from Tina Woodings, although it does sail wide. Not long after this game wraps up, we'll have that Mixed Masters Championship game. Brian Jones will rejoin us for that.
Hammond with the disc, a staple of Canadian Ultimate. She is 51 years old. Her first beach tournament was in 2011, where she was playing with the women's team, not the Masters women's team.
Got to be an inspiration to see her look like that and play like this at age 51. Not that you know anything what 51 is like.
Not yet.
Far from it. Beautiful put, but knocked away by Winner. Now a deep shot, intercepted by Hammond. This is Lundgren. Backhand of the end zone, and the Canadians have scored again.
So that's clearly the only thing Canada needed right now in this game was a Hall of Famer stepping onto the field. Number 22, Anya Hammond, pulls that in for Team Canada.
Pretty incredible. 51 years old. Canadian fans shielding their faces from the dust. Hope fans at home around the world can appreciate the production crew and the team that we've had working all throughout this week. I mean, one of the great production crews I've had the opportunity to work with. I had, of course, always some kinks that we iron out as the process goes along, but 6-7 cameras right on the ball the entire time for this groundbreaking coverage. Privileged to be a part of it.
Yeah, and this is the first time that this production crew has filmed the Ultimate, so they've been learning along the way.
Going to strand Angela Lynn. Throw incomplete, intended for Wu. Wigglesworth to the middle of the field, and Niles. Kirsten Niles pops that one up. Oh, what a D. Rachel Holes at the very last instant knocked it away. Kirsten Niles, who put that one up, started playing Ultimate in 2003. Went to McGill in Montreal. And it looks like USA has taken a timeout. This will inch us closer to the soft cap.
We've noticed how effective these timeouts can be. Of course, with a 4-point lead, USA has to be feeling fairly confident. All the same, time is nearly out, and they have this one, their only timeout of the game. It's good to put it to use and bring the collective back together, perhaps decide on a specific play they'd like to run, just so they can get everyone back on the same page, perhaps put another easy pass into the end zone for a score.
Canadians' last score, hauled in by Hammond. And Angela Lynn unleashes a big backhand into the grasp of Rachel Holes. And the wind gusting again, reaching a new peak. What a throw that was, right into the wind, and then just a fraction of a degree, that angle was just a smidge off. Otherwise, it would have floated perfectly.
Yeah, it was a good decision, good look. Just not quite enough time to take the execution necessary to make that toss.
It's, you know what, Megan? The wind creates a different sport.
Yep.
I mean, this is not the same game we watched 48 hours ago. It completely changes everything about strategy and tactic.
Oh, absolutely. We've talked so much this week about what these teams are facing coming from the grass to the beach and all the adjustments that need to be made.
You wonder if it could be possible to, depending on the velocity of the wind, you add some weight to the Ultrastar. It's greater than 20 kilometers. You play with 190 gram instead of 100. I mean, players obviously don't practice with that disc, but players typically don't practice in a sandstorm either.
Well, now that's an interesting strategy, Evan.
I wouldn't say it's a strategy. I'd say it's a foolish idea.
I don't know. Playing in wind like this, sometimes I wish the disc had a little more weight.
One of the great things about the way the Ultrastar is manufactured, the float that it naturally provides, the stability, the great strength of the rim with the flimsiness of the interior combines into any Ultimate player's favorite toy. How many Frisbees do you own?
Oh, I was just thinking that. I definitely 20s edging into the 30s.
What a grab. Tracy Wu lays out. USA trying to put the finishing touches. Soft cap will go on after this point.
What about you, Evan? How many discs do you have?
I was just thinking about that. It's 20 to 30s, maybe 30 to 40. Planning to add a few more this week for Beach Worlds.
My other half. How many do you have hanging up as decoration?
You know what? At the baseball stadium where I worked in recent years in Virginia, in my radio booth, I had probably 15 Frisbees hanging on the wall, maybe half of the collection. Ever since the season ended and I moved into a new place, all my discs are still sitting on the ground. I've sort of thought about putting them up. Oh, that's a fantastic hand block by Betsy Chan. Absolutely canceled that big backhand from Angela Ling. Hammer intended for the end zone, instead caught by Michelle Dole. And her quick backhand return goes awry. Lynn lets another one fly, and that'll fall short. So yeah, that's on my to-do list. Too much travel over the past months, 4 or 5 months, to have time to strategize and get a ladder to put the push pins on the wall.
Well, Evan, I hope you find time upon your return to the US of A.
Me too. If only that was a score for Canada. They still have 45 meters to go down the other direction.
But a crucial save nonetheless.
And of course, you have your discs that you're willing to play with that have been a little banged up, and you have your pristine discs that are, for display only. I think the coolest thing is when you have, the discs lining the wall of a staircase. Those diagonal lines. Easy for me to say. And USA 1 point away from clinching gold. 7-2, the Americans lead it with a soft cap going on. It'll be a game to 8.
Some fantastic long throws, some excellent layouts, but the way the United States has scored most often is just with those 10-yard passes, nice, clean, and easy to the end zone.
You should have seen some of the looks that I used to get when I'd have a guest in my baseball radio booth with the 15 Frisbees on the wall from USAU college nationals and club nationals in the US Open, and discs representing different AUDL teams that we have covered. the dream scenario is to have, you know, a disc from, say, every AUDL team and create like the standings on your wall each week with the discs. And that's one heck of a display.
If you accomplish that, I would like you to tweet the standings via picture every week.
That's a fantastic pull. It's only a matter of time before USA is celebrating here on the beaches in Dubai. And it'll begin with a women's Masters gold. Melissa Lundgren airs it out to no avail. Ladone picks it up and just boomerangs it back. Lundgren forced to throw a short backhand, or she had a flick opportunity, but nice job on the mark there, preventing the backhand huck. This is Jardine, back to Lundgren. It's like Lundgren's got that split finger grip on the flick. I'd say typically with the high level players, you see the power grip for the flick. That one pops up to the ground.
Yeah, and with the put Lundgren has, I wouldn't imagine that you could still get that kind of power with a split finger grip.
More of a beginner's grip. That's how I learned to throw a flick. And
me as well.
Gradually that finger goes down onto the rim to get more power on the disc. You haven't seen power until you've seen Megan Tormey's flick huck, folks.
That is not true.
Very cool to see all the fans that have been spread out across this complex. So widespread over the past 72 hours, all coming together for the beginning of the championship rounds. It's a game to 8, USA looking to cap it off. The Irish team enjoying themselves in the sun. Ooh. That's a microcosm of the Canadian effort. Just unable to get much going. USA has made their fair share of mistakes as well, but they'll have done enough. Give the layout grab to Isabelle LeMay. Back for Lundgren. Again, the wind gusting. Whoever constructed this tent that we're very fortunate to be under deserves some sort of architectural gold medal, because it is tied up, bolted down with authority. The tent we had yesterday, we literally had to hold with 6 arms when the 3 of us were underneath. Dariani airs it out, and Team USA has not won quite yet. Davis could not get there. Dariani wants that one back and makes eye contact with Davis, saying her bad.
This is inching closer and closer to the record of the longest game held right now by the the open semifinals between USA and the Philippines at 1 hour and 20 minutes, I believe. We are nearing an hour.
We had a spirit timeout during Universe Point in that game. Tough catch for Davis. Another underneath shot and a good grab for the USA. Jessica Blanton. On the white jerseys of the American players reads the word indivisible. And Team USA has gold in the Women's Masters division.
Jessica Blanton has been a standout on Team USA this week, despite the fact that the team has a lot of talent across the board coming into this game. She led the team with 16 goals. It's no surprise she was able to keep her wits about her and make that, bobble that disc, make that rather difficult catch, securing a medal for her team.
Blanton Hall's in the game winner, and you can start to see it in the faces. They realize there are no more games to be played. They have endured through the ferocious winds here in Dubai to earn the gold medal. USA over Canada 8-2. They finish the week undefeated, undeterred through these conditions, and unbeaten on the scoreboard. So in the women's masters, silver goes to Canada, and Team USA takes the gold. In just a short while, we'll have the mixed masters gold medal game, also featuring USA and Canada. But for now, on behalf of Dubai Sports and Sky Magazine, we say so long from the beaches in Dubai. From our broadcast partner Megan Tormey and our entire fantastic crew working through the wind, I'm Evan Leffler. Goodbye. We'll talk to you soon. The mixed masters final coming up, but the USA team in the women's masters division has won gold here in Dubai.